My name is Katja Matern. I'm the Climate Adapt Project Manager at the European Environment Agency. This presentation was prepared with support of Valentina Giannini of the European Topic Center on Climate Change Adaptation. This presentation is about how Climate Adapt understands its users and providers and their needs, and how this is being translated into knowledge brokering on this platform. The mission of Climate Adapt is described in the EU Adaptation Strategy. It should further develop and share the adaptation knowledge base in Europe according to stakeholders' needs. This mission is related with challenges both on the provision and use of information. Looking at the knowledge needs, we see that they are constantly evolving over time. The new EU adaptation strategy, which will be published soon, shows specific knowledge needs related with health and climate change, and in particular connected with the global corona pandemic. But also, knowledge needs are very diverse across the European Union, whereas some countries are still developing adaptation strategies and plans, and others are implementing them. Some countries have already evaluated their strategies and plans and adjusted the policy framework. Those different stages in the adaptation policy cycle require different types of knowledge. In addition, the capabilities of providers and users are diverse across the EU. When it comes to the provision of information, we need to cope with the challenge of a growing amount and diversity of adaptation information. There are growing reporting streams. For example, under the new EU climate law and according to the EU governance regulation, new types of policy information need to be reported on Climate Adapt. Through the Copernicus Climate Services, climate data and indicators are being provided. The scientific knowledge base is also growing and diversifying. Horizon Europe and the Mission on Adaptation are providing outcomes of EU-funded research. The LIFE funding stream is providing experiences and knowledge from implemented adaptation policy and action. The adaptation component of Digital Twin Earth requires new data formats. And also, for example, a growing amount of videos needs to be presented on Climate Adapt, which is a new type of data. Effective knowledge brokering on Climate Adapt means to engage providers of adaptation information across Europe. The in-depth 2017 evaluation of Climate Adapt has shown that we have already involved various providers of information, such as reporters of official policy information from the EU member states, researchers, city experts, and practitioners. But this figure, taken from the 2017 user and provider survey, shows as well that there is potential for more information to be shared. We need to systematically collaborate with EU-funded research projects and other projects directly from the start to effectively capture their information. We were working on the promotion of the option to share information through Climate Adapt on the landing page of our website. And we're also working on to improve the transparency and user-friendliness of the submission workflow. All these activities should help us to engage more information providers. Climate Adapt has the task to guide users to the original information sources on adaptation in Europe. Therefore, the provider perspective is also one of the main focus of our work. This becomes even a higher priority in 2021. We are launching new features like the EU Health and Climate Change Observatory. We have pre-filled those features with information, but we need to populate those features with new and relevant information coming from EU member states, from researchers, practitioners, and other experts. And therefore, we need to put a priority into making the provision of information as easy as possible. The 2017 Climate Adapt evaluation has shown that there's also added value in concentrating on the provider perspective. Individual feedback collected from information providers has shown that showing their information in the respective policy context on Climate Adapt makes their information more relevant to users. We're also working to turn visitors of Climate Adapt into information providers. Information providers become more familiar with the Climate Adapt content and functionalities, and they value the platform even more. And this turns them also into active users of the platform. In 2021, we would like to put a specific priority on further engaging information providers. Developing Climate Adapt according to stakeholders' needs means to understand the target audience, who they are and what they want. In the 2017 evaluation, we found out that we are actually successful to reach out to our intended target audience, the decision makers and organizations supporting them. The survey we have carried out towards users and providers has shown that 2/3 of our survey respondents came from the intended target audience. In particular, we have a higher share of organizations supporting governmental decision makers than decision makers themselves. This corresponds to the characteristics of Climate Adapt to be a knowledge platform. And we continue to develop Climate Adapt according to the needs of those organizations supporting governmental decision makers. We also looked at the geographic origin of our users. We're reaching out towards all EEA member countries, but least towards Central and Eastern European countries. But we have also users outside the European Union. The 2017 Climate Adapt evaluation was designed to understand further aspects of our user audience, such as the professional background. The evaluation provided evidence that Climate Adapt is used across all governance levels in Europe, from the EU level to the local level. Climate Adapt is more used by experts working on adaptation in general than by sectoral users. Climate Adapt is also used more by experts already experienced on adaptation than by experts less experienced in adaptation. And Climate Adapt is used more frequently and more comprehensively by users without a national adaptation platform in place. Such colleagues find adaptation information on their country on Climate Adapt in a comparable way, whereas experts from countries with an adaptation platform have information in more detail at national level. They use Climate Adapt more as a means to put their national information in the EU context. Climate Adapt has the task to enable the effective uptake of the information. Therefore, we also designed the 2017 Climate Adapt evaluation to better understand how our audience used Climate Adapt. The evaluation provided evidence on some common use pattern across all user groups. Climate Adapt was often the starting point for developing tailor-made products because Climate Adapt is a trusted source of information, kind of a first-stop shop. The platform is valued as efficient because it provides the information in a very structured way. We have a multi-governance approach. We show information at EU levels, at transnational, national and local levels. The information is also provided in a comparable format to allow to make comparisons across countries and other aspects. The information can be screened via search filters in the database and is described via metadata to quickly find what users are looking for. And a lot of information sources are accessible through map-based viewers. Effective knowledge brokering on Climate means to present the knowledge in a way that it complies with users' and providers' needs. The 2017 Climate Adapt evaluation has confirmed our general approach and added some lessons learned how to improve this. We have a database that we use to guide users to the information sources by describing the information sources by metadata and by making them searchable through filters. The database is also used to highlight the most important database items as resources in the respective policy context on various web pages. I'm using here some examples to illustrate that. On Climate Adapt, we have adaptation options and case studies as important elements to support decision making. We have 59 adaptation options, which is a systematic set of measures that are relevant in adaptation sector policies and for a very wide variety of impacts. Those adaptation options are searchable via filters in the database. They are complemented by 109 case studies. Those case studies are supporting decision making by sharing experiences and by inspiring others to implement adaptation measures. They are being selected on a criteria-based approach. They cover all levels of governance, but the main focus is on local and subnational measures. The lessons learned are presented in a comprehensive and structured way, and they include contact information that users can access the providers of solutions to get in touch with them. They are searchable via filter criteria like the geographic coverage, the sectors and the impacts, and the coverage of the adaptation case studies is regularly analyzed and improved. Case studies and adaptation options are complementing each other. Every adaptation option on Climate Adapt is connected with the respective case studies that are illustrating those generic descriptions of measures. When users arrive on the case study pages, they find in every case study a link to the respective adaptation options that are connected with this case study. Adaptation options and case studies are highlighted as important resources in various policy contexts, for example, in the adaptation support tool or on the sector policies pages and others. One task of Climate Adapt, as foreseen in the European Adaptation Strategy, was to provide access to climate data and to facilitate its uptake. Until 2017, the Copernicus Climate Change Services was not operational, so that this task could not be fulfilled to a large degree. But since then, progress was made and the Copernicus Climate Services are now established and are in the operational phase, providing a climate data store and other functionalities. That's why Climate Adapt is aiming now to establish a comprehensive link to those climate data. The aim is to establish an interactive tool on Climate Adapt where access to specific climate data is enabled to support the adaptation efforts at different levels of governance in Europe. Observed reanalysis and projected climate change indicators should be made accessible, and multiple options for Climate Adapt users should be made to use climate variables, timeframes, scenarios, and spatial aggregations. It is intended to establish using different types of information, to download numerical data and to produce time series on averages and other variables, statistical distributions, and also to visualize maps and graphs. This interactive tool on Climate Adapt to access climate data is now under preparation. It will be launched later in 2021. There will be a soft launch in February, which is not being connected with promotional activities. And a webinar will take place soon with experts from member states to ask for feedback on the demo version of this tool. In this interactive tool, we provide access from different entry points. One entry point is from the knowledge page of Climate Adapt under the Indicator tab, and the indicators can be accessed per sector. Another entry point is a list of indicators per impact, the hazard categories, on another page. By using the entry points of the sector's selection or the selection per hazard type, we get to the list of indicators and can select one individual indicator to be looked at. We have selected here the indicator climatic suitability of tiger mosquito season length, and we can see how the indicator is being presented on this interface. On top of the page, we see the description of the indicator with metadata. Below, we see a map where the data of one emission scenario are being displayed. We can select one more emission scenario for this indicator. And by clicking on the tab Explore in Detail, we will be guided to another page with the detailed functionalities that can be used for this indicator. This page of the selected indicator shows which options are available to use the climate data coming from the Copernicus Climate Services. One option is to select the spatial scale on which the data are needed. In order to do so, we can use the drop-down menu on top of the map on the right side. Here we can select between 4 different levels of geographical resolution. For this, the European System of Geographical Division is used that's called NUTS. It subdivides the area of Europe into different units, moving from larger to smaller units. On the example of Germany, we can understand that the NUTS 1 level is below the national level. It covers the federal states. The NUTS level 2 refers to the subnational regions. Level 3 reflects the division into cities and counties, and the level 4 is referring to community level. Another option is to generate time series by using different time periods and scenarios, and the data can be exported and the figures to be used in different applications. The European Adaptation Platform Climate Adapt provides access to climate data, policy information, guidance and tools, and practical examples of implemented adaptation actions. Please don't hesitate to contact me for questions or to write an email to the generic Climate Adapt email address. Thank you very much.